How are you on this beautiful day to be alive? Welcome back to Passionate Catholic. Today I'd like to have a conversation with you about the Most Holy Rosary. I imagine some of you have already heard of the Holy Rosary. Many of you probably already pray it. For those of you who don't yet pray it, I'm really looking forward to having this journey with you to help you acquire and make this extremely important and essential devotion part of your daily lives. I assure you that when you do, it will transform you and it will transform your life. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's talk about how this all started. The year was 1214. The place, a small forest just outside of Toulouse, France. Saint Dominic of Guzman, who was the great apostle of the Holy Rosary, had been fighting the Albigensian heresy. The way he was doing this was trying to bring about the conversion of sinners by spreading the devotion to the three Hail Marys. As the name says, it was a devotion whereby you committed to praying three Hail Marys every day for the salvation of your soul and for the conversion of sinners. But the Albigensian heresy continued to spread and continued to threaten the eternal salvation of thousands of souls. Saint Dominic was distraught over this due to the immense love he had for God and for the salvation of souls. The Albigensian heresy was basically a modified, updated version of Manichaeism, which basically taught the opposite of the Catholic faith regarding God and other things. But as we know from our beloved Catholic faith, there is only one true God, creator of all things, visible and invisible. The Manichaean heresy taught that there are actually two gods, a good God who created spirit and an evil God who created matter. And so therefore, according to them, all matter was evil. So they abhorred marriage. They were basically anti-life. They were against anything that was matter. And they had their own set of sacraments. And very sadly, one of the highest of their sacraments was suicide, because this was the voluntary destruction of the human body. Both the body and the soul are created by God. Human beings, as we know, are body and soul. But the Manichaeans taught that human beings are actually souls that are imprisoned inside of an evil body. Not only was this heresy losing many souls and threatening the eternal salvation of countless people, but also it was doing great damage to society by promoting a destruction of all things that were matter. Saint Dominic had retreated to this small forest outside of Toulouse, France, to pray and to offer sacrifices, beseeching the Blessed Virgin Mary to show him the way, to give him the means to convert these heretics and also to save souls. One of the other things that was making the conversion of the Albigensians so difficult is that even good Catholics who were practicing their faith had become so hardened and so scandalized by the evils and by the aberrations committed by the Albigensians that they had stopped praying for their conversion. And Saint Dominic was having a terrible time convincing them that they needed to pray for the salvation, for the conversion and the salvation of these souls, no matter what they had done. As Saint Dominic was in the forest for these 3 days and 3 nights, he prayed fervently and devoutly. He performed harsh penances, fasting and scourging himself. And after 3 days and 3 nights of fervent prayer and harsh penances, he collapsed into a coma. While in this state, the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared to him and said, "My son, do you know what instrument the Most Holy Trinity desires to use for the conversion of souls?" Saint Dominic said in all humility, "My mother, you are the one who are close to the Most Holy Trinity. You are the one who are close to the heart of God." Please tell me, what shall I do? What instrument can I use to convert these sinners and to save souls?" And at that moment, Our Lady, surrounded by 3 angels, taught St. Dominic the devotion of the Most Holy Rosary. After this, St. Dominic awoke, energized and filled with fervor and zeal for the salvation of souls and for the conversion of these sinners, and he headed toward Toulouse. As he approached the city, unseen angels rang the bells in the church to gather together the townspeople. It's good to remember that in those days, it wasn't 2019 or 2020, there was no internet, no smartphones, no tweets. So the way you brought people together and called their attention was by ringing the bells in the church. And so all of the townspeople gathered. And as the church filled up, and as St. Dominic walked toward the front of the church to preach the devotion to the Most Holy Rosary, a terrifying storm broke out. The lightning cracked and the thunder rumbled, and the rain just came down in torrents. And at the same time, the earth shook, terrifying the townspeople. And St. Dominic started to preach the devotion to the Most Holy Rosary. Well, what really caught people's attention is that as they looked past St. Dominic, up near the altar, a beautiful image of the Blessed Virgin Mary started to move. And Our Lady 3 times raised her eyes and her arms to heaven, calling down God's vengeance upon those who would not adopt the devotion of the Most Holy Rosary, upon those who would not convert, and upon those who refused to pray for the conversion of sinners and the salvation of souls. Well, needless to say, this caught people's attention. Now, just a little parenthesis. Our Lady did not want the harm to come to anyone there. She wasn't trying to do this to punish anyone. She was a loving mother. And as all good parents know, sometimes you have to let your children know the consequences of doing something that is wrong or harmful. And that consequence many times comes in the form of punishment. And Our Lady, as a loving mother, was doing just this to help bring about the conversion of souls and to touch these hearts. Close parentheses. Well, St. Dominic continued to preach the Holy Rosary with zeal and with so much fervor that the townspeople of Toulouse, almost all of them, were completely enraptured with the devotion of the Most Holy Rosary. They adopted it and they started to pray it with fervor and with zeal. Well, not only did this start to bring about the conversion of many of the Albigensian heretics, it also softened the hearts of good Catholics. And the Christian virtues and the good habits just started to blossom inside of this town. Peace, joy, love, harmony, all became the norm. All because of the recitation and the practice of the devotion of the Most Holy Rosary. If you've enjoyed this story and would like to hear all the wonderful stories that we publish here at Passionate Catholic, click on the subscribe button below and don't miss out on any of the stories by the Catholic Storyteller at Passionate Catholic. If you're looking to take the next step, if you want to grow in your spiritual life, not just to know more, but to become inflamed and enkindled with greater love for our Lord Jesus Christ and for the Blessed Virgin Mary, visit us at passionatecatholic.net. Until next time, Jesus and Mary, get us there.